So we're going to do the role right now, scene 2, take 1 with Mr. Benson.
Loop de loop. Take one. Take one. Okay. This is gonna be funny.
Today we're going to talk about probably the first maneuver that you should learn is the loop. And Jason's going to go through the little delicacies of the loop that people don't realize all the time.
Yeah, so the loop's a deceiving one.
Yeah.
A lot of people think you come in, give full throttle, pull elevator, and fly out. That's it.
That's what I do. I scream the whole time.
Well, I know. I'm sure you do. I've witnessed that. And it's pretty terrifying. I think I ended up under the truck because I thought your plane was going to hit me. But
Yeah,
whatever.
That's why I scream.
So what people don't account for, and what we kind of have to learn when we're flying for a purpose like IMAC or whatnot, is the radius of the loop matters, and things like gravity affect the radius of the loop. So in reality, things like gravity play a big part in the loop. So if you were just to come in and pull a constant amount of elevator, the loop's going to look more like an egg. Yeah. It's not going to look correct. So, for instance, when you're coming in, I like to start the loop directly in front of myself, and actually we're really lucky here. We have lines on the runway, so I pick that point as my starting point. You like to pull, you want to commit to it. You want to see the departure and flight line, especially in IMAX, so they know where it starts and ends. So you're going to start off by pulling. Well, at this point, when the plane's flying upright, flying along, you start to pull, you're going to need the most elevator at that point. Actually, second most. We'll get to the most in a minute. So you're going to start pulling, and as the plane gets to vertical, now the gravity's not affecting it, so you're going to need to pull a little less to maintain that radius of the loop. As you get to inverted and coming up on the top of the loop, now the gravity's actually helping you. Most planes actually arc towards the ground when they're inverted, so now you're actually easing out of the elevator even more. If you're flying a big enough loop, you may even find you let completely out of the elevator and just let it arc over the top if it matches. As we come around and we get back to vertical, now you're going to start adding some elevator back in because no longer is the gravity helping you pull over the top. And now you're gaining speed and velocity, which means the last quarter or quadrant of the loop is actually where you're going to pull the most elevator. And you're going to start pulling more and more and more and more. As it gets level, you can actually ease up a little bit because now you're closer to level. You're not aiming at the ground and the momentum is not helping. And you're gonna pull. And I always like to think of where I started, so that center line, and I'm aiming for that point. Level. And right when you get there, you want to be level, stop pulling, and fly away. So that's the basics of the loop. Other things affect it like wind and whatnot, but that's way more advanced. That's something you'd probably want to work on or talk to someone in person.
Now, what about throttle management? Like, as it goes up, I would imagine you got to add a lot more throttle.
That's another thing.
Over, you're not as much.
Yes, that's another thing people would do. If you're flying a 40 size trainer, you can be full throttle the whole time, pull your loop, and you're not going to hurt anything.
Not going to hurt anything.
Some of the larger planes, once you get in giant scale gas planes and whatnot, now you're looking at ripping wings off if you're full throttle on a downline, and that's never healthy. So what I like to do is I'll fly along about half throttle, maybe a little more, nice comfortable pace. Start my pull as I add throttle because I'm going to need the full throttle coming up to pull through the top of the loop. And as soon as I get to the top, I'm backing out of the throttle. So by the time I'm on the down line or the coming into the last quadrant, I'm completely off throttle. Because now, momentum and gravity are helping me and I'm flying through it. And then once I get back to level, I add back to that half throttle. You want to try and keep it kind of a constant speed is what you want to think.
So it just looks like it's going in all one motion.
Yep. Yeah. And
speeding up, slowing down.
Exactly. And like we've talked about with other maneuvers, this maneuver can be flown with any airplane really.
Yeah.
There's obviously some planes, darn flies, some planes that won't have enough power that you'll have to get some momentum to pull through. Full scale planes actually, most of them have to dive to get the amount of airspeed to get over the top of the loop. So, if you got like a really underpowered Cub, you may have to dive a little bit to get into it. But these are things to remember just to make a nice round, pleasing to the eye loop, because if you don't do it, it's going to look squashed and pinched to the top, and it's just not going to be right.
So the first thing somebody, if they're practicing a loop, should they first just not worry about throttle, just maintain the circle, just try to maintain a nice circle through it, and then afterwards they can think about throttle management to make it all one nice and smooth. Like even if they're speeding up down here, coming around, the main objective is to make
the radius nice and and even, consistent throughout the loop. So like we've talked about in other maneuvers in IMAC, we're judged on that radius staying the same. So every time the radius changes, we're deducted a point.
Well, that's like you said in the beginning. people think that a loop is just, you know, one thing, but you really have a lot of management to work on as you're coming over it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to think about that people it just doesn't. Now, if you've never flown a loop, by all means, full throttle, pull some elevator, get through it.
Don't forget the screaming.
And scream, John. It works well. He may have put a couple in doing it, but and fly high. Always start with room to make mistakes because it happens.
Well, I appreciate the fact you said only a couple. Thank you for that.
Well, you know, we won't talk about all the tail feathers sticking out of the wall in the shop.
No reason for that. All right, so that's the loop. You're going to see that in action, and hopefully get out there and practice, work on it, and pretty soon you'll be beating this guy at Tucson.
Come on out. It's a lot of fun. Also, if there's any other maneuvers you guys want to see, make sure to put it in the comments.
Right down there.
We need a little help on bringing you the right content.
Now, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and please leave us a comment what you think. Whether you like it or not, let us know.
Okay, so like we talked about, the biggest misconception about flying a loop is that you just pull a consistent amount of elevator and the loop will be nice and round. In reality, this is not true. When we're flying straight and level like this, the up elevator has a lot less effect than it does when we're at the top of the loop and we're inverted and gravity is helping us. So you should be fairly comfortable flying your plane. So we want to pick a nice starting point. I like to start my loops right in front of me at a comfortable altitude. I actually have a straight white line right in front of me. And we start our pull with a low definition. As we get here, we're backing off the elevator a little bit, guiding it with the rudder. Our apex should be right in front of us. There it is. Easy pull. As we start coming down and gravity starts affecting us again, we're pulling more and more and more and more and more until we end right where we started. That's a nice loop. So again, when we start the pull and end the pull, we're pulling more than we are at the top because gravity is fighting us. Especially coming out of the bottom when we got more airspeed, more velocity, and we're fighting the effects of gravity. We're pulling even more than we did at first. In IMAC, we're judged on our radius staying the same, so we need to adjust the amount of elevator we're pulling to keep the radius the same. And of course, when we start adding wind and whatnot, it starts getting more and more complex. So here we go again. We're going to come in, we're going to start it right in front of us. Nice constant speed. And right in front of us, add our throttle, start our pull. Easing out of it, so our apex will be right in front of us. Out of the throttle on the down line here, pulling more to keep it nice and round. And end our loop. So let's fly this from the other direction. Got a little panicked at the end of that. Not panicked, but I pulled a little hard. And this is something that every plane you have to get used to. They're going to react differently. So we're coming downwind now. We're going to pull right in front of us. As we get to vertical, we're easing off on our pull. Trying to keep our radius the same. Pulling more, 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 more. Easing out of it here and right back in front of us. So that is flying a nice round loop. Try it one more time from the right here. And with practice, everything gets better. Airspeed and pull. Easing out because the gravity is helping us here. Pulling, 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 pulling. Right back to in front of us, there we go. And a 4-point roll to finish. We'll do one more from the left. Here we go. Nice consistent airspeed coming in. Parallel with the runway. Little rudder to correct our, here we go. And that's flying around loop. Different planes will require different amounts. You just need to learn what that plane wants. And this is the same rules no matter how large or small you're flying the loop. As long as the loop is round, it scores the same. So if you want to fly a bigger loop, give yourself a little more time to think. Start a nice gentle pull. Easing off of it here, almost actually no elevator at the top. Letting it arc over the top. Pulling, 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 and we're done.
When you're coming across, I always like to start the loop dead in front of me. So like here we have.
I didn't do it. It's their fault.
I'm sorry. You were saying more gravity. I was gonna say, so then if I weigh more than you, I have to pull differently on my plane. Gravity. Oh God, I'm all red now.
Okay, are we ready to start again?
It's just this is the shit that goes on in my head, man. 'Cause I'm thinking, well, I weigh more than him. My gravity's gonna be heavier. My plane's gonna fly different.
So you're gonna pull on your stick a little harder? Is that what you're saying?
I gotta pull my stick a lot harder than you.
No comment. Okay, ready when you
All right,
are.
well, we'll pick it up to where you were. Where were you?
Okay. So yeah, that's correct.
I'm saying it, and we come back, and my eyes are all watery and red. And...
I didn't do it.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.